AM 1420. In the studio with me is Judge Cornelius Sullivan. I haven't met a Cornelius in a good many years since I knew Con Mangan on the west side of Cleveland. He used to go by Con. His name was Cornelius. Do you go by Con?
I was nicknamed Corky by my parents back in the 60s. I think that was.
That's right. Neil Conway told me that.
Yeah.
Corky.
My dad was Neil. My son is Connor. And I'm kind of stuck with the odd nickname, so I don't use it a lot.
Okay. So you're on the Court of Appeals. What does the Court of Appeals do?
We review all the judgments from the lower courts, from the Court of Common Pleas, from every municipal court in Cuyahoga County, domestic relations, juvenile. If someone's unhappy with their result, they appeal to us.
You fix the mistakes that the judges in the lower courts make.
We sure try to.
And they make a lot of them, don't they?
They make fewer than you'd think.
Is that right?
Yeah. When I was practicing, I thought they were all wrong all the time.
Yeah.
And now that I'm up there, I see that we've got a pretty good group.
How long have you been a lawyer?
Came out of Cleveland Marshall in 1990. Went right
Oh,
to
God, you look too young to. No,
clean.
wait a minute.
It's clean living.
Yeah, that's 30 years ago.
Yeah, long time.
My God, you must have graduated when you were 10.
It was. My wife thinks that it was about 10 when we got married, but no, we were a young couple and got married right out of law school.
What about young lawyers coming out of law school today? Is it a challenge for them to get out into the legal field?
There's a lot of challenges that they face that I didn't face. You used to be able to just hang up a shingle and maybe borrow $500 from your dad. That's not what I did, but and start a practice. Now you need you need a lot of money, and you've got a lot of debt too. So they're under a lot of stress. And I think one of the worst things is that they're not getting into court anymore because the last 2 years the courts were closed down.
Yeah.
And we're encouraging lawyers. I was a mentor for the Ohio Supreme Court. We're encouraging the big firms and the small firms to get your young lawyers into court. That's where they learn the best.
Yeah. So, young fella getting out of law school, if they get out without any debt, and they hang up the shingle, what's the chances of somebody walking in and saying, I want to hire you right away?
Well, if you have family, it's a good chance. Like if you have a family like mine, but
Big family.
But yeah, big family. That always helps. But no, they've got to hustle. They got to work hard. And it's rewarding work, but it's hard work.
How about getting into law firms? How do a lot of young lawyers do that?
There's kind of a system. There's several big law firms in town, and there's medium-sized law firms, and there's a bunch of small law firms. A lot of them are hiring. A lot of them are looking for good people because they see the talent when it rises to the top. And you can come out of any law school, and maybe you're not going to get your first job that you want, but once you get into court and people see you, that's where you make your name, and that's how you get to be good, and then they want you.
Mm-hmm. Can judges make recommendations for people to hire lawyers? No.
Well, we hire, and I have right now two law clerks that I've hired. They're the professionals that work for me. I think they call themselves staff attorneys now.
But they work in the court.
They work in the courts. But I hired 2 externs, they're called, just two law students. We don't pay them anything, but they come in, we have them look at the cases, we have them review everything, and then they put that on their resume, that they clerked for Judge Cornelius Sullivan at the Court of Appeals.
Are the lawyers already? Qualified lawyers, or
these are
law students?
These are law students.
Law students, yeah.
And we're always looking for, Judge Michelle Sheehan and I are 2 of the only ones that are really doing that right now. We're trying to encourage all the judges to bring as many young people in as you can, again, to get them in the court, to get them the experience that they need.
Are there too many lawyers?
Never. But, as Father Duffy told me at John Carroll, there might be too many. It's not crowded at the top, though. So if you work hard and you do your job, you'll be all right.
Mm-hmm. So,
Good words.
You've been
Good
on the
words.
Court of Appeals since when?
I started last year.
Last year. And how long a term is it?
I have to run this November to keep the spot. It was a spot that was vacated. Unfortunately, the judge who was there, Larry Jones, passed away. And it was kind of sudden. It was a shock to the court. So I came in trying to fill in for him, and I'm running in November to keep that spot.
Oh, great.
Yeah. One of the things I did is I just brought his staff in. I didn't even think about hiring new people. Usually a new broom sweeps clean in politics, but the court administrator called me the day I was appointed said, what are you gonna do about your staff? And I said, I'll keep Judge Jones's. I don't know who they are, I never met them, but that's what happened when I was working for John F. Corrigan 30 years ago. When he passed away and I was working for him, so I said, that's what I'm gonna do. And it's worked out. I had faith in God, and it worked out well for me, because they happen to be terrific.
They knew what they were doing.
They happen to be terrific, yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk more. I want to talk about your family a bit.
Sure.
Here are the Clancy brothers. I'd like to go. But here's Josh to tell you more about it. Stand by.
Experience the beauty of Ireland on a trip of a lifetime across the Carrick-Road Bridge. Just don't look
So
down.
did you boys go to
It's
Addison?
an
Yeah,
awesome
yeah, so with Jim Kubacki over there, so
Oh, yeah.
very good. I'm gonna see Jim this Wednesday. I'm going to a American Fundraising Professional Breakfast. He and his wife are talking. And it's a morning workshop type
He
thing.
knows what he's
Yeah.
doing.
Oh, he does. Oh, he's great. I love him. Well, Amy, their daughter came to Holy Name. I worked at Holy Name for 12 years. So I'm a Holy Namer. Oh, yeah.
Spend the summer night with your
Did they?
friends at
Oh,
noon
good.
on
So good.
a great outdoor patio
So
on
happy
the
for him.
Irish
Lucky
Sea.
that he
This is
was
not your
wonderful
typical
for us.
tour. This is an
He brought
experience
us
for
the
first-time
program.
visitors
So
and those
my
blessed
son-in-law
to
was a
spend
hockey player
time
for him,
in
a
Ireland
Holy
with
Namer.
family.
Chanel, and married my stepdaughter Sammy, and then Tim and I were good friends. Good guy.
Join us next June on
Yeah.
the Roads Less Traveled
Yeah, it's
Ireland
Kate.
Didn't necessarily want the new coach, but when they brought him in, it was great.
210-0828.
So my
More
son,
than
my
a tour,
fourth son played
an
for
experience.
him.
Okay, good. So Seamus Kennedy,
Lots of people ask what the price of the
Because it's very
tour is.
tight.
The land part of the tour is $24.85. That's $2,485. And the phone number, once again, Tim Vaughan's number is 216-210-0828. And we will be visiting, here's the name of the hotels we're going to be staying in: the Grand Hotel in Belfast, the Central Hotel in Donegal, the Ballina Manor Hotel in Ballina, County Mayo, the Galmont Hotel in Galway, and the Portmarnock Hotel and Golf Club in Dublin. So it should be a great tour. Again, the number 216-210-0828. Now this from John O'Neill.
Elderly mom
Jerry,
or
so
dad
they can
with no food.
they can still book the trip.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, people can still. Okay, very good, very good.
There's great airfares now.
Okay, really good.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I got mine for $900 round trip out of two.
That's great. Wow, that's great.
Dialysis.
And I talked to Tom Joyce this morning. He said the rooms, the prices have dropped
Team of physicians.
because a lot of people are going back to Spain and Portugal. The Irish
Oh,
people are
yes,
not.
yes, 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 staying in
Vacations
Ireland
are
anymore.
going out.
So, right,
And,
so the rates are
travel
dropping.
Rooms were like $300 a person for a while. You
Not
know.
very expensive.
But now they've dropped.
That's good.
Older adult, and is the trusted choice for your loved one. For more information about Neil Health, schedule a tour to one of our 5 facilities. Please contact us for 408-808-5500. Or visit us online at o'neillhc.com.
Sean Lackey owns a beautiful little pub and restaurant. It's not little, it's a good size, in Valley City, Ohio. It's not too far, just down the road near Medina. I suggest you get to it. It's a wonderful restaurant. You will just love it. Here they are to tell you about it.
Is your wife then?
That
Is she
means you just
local?
wait. My
Yes.
God, you're doing a great job of it.
No, my wife and I, met a long time ago. We talked about what we wanted to do with our lives, and it was raise a family. So for 30 years, I didn't join a lot of bar associations. I didn't hang out at a lot of places. I did what the kids needed to do. My wife and I did what they needed to do. I did what she needed to do. And we took care of them. We're very proud of our 4 sons,
And you have 4 boys,
4 boys.
no girls. A lot of broken windows, I bet.
A lot of broken windows.
Yes, broken
but
doors,
my-
furniture.
My boys learned how to fix them though.
Good.
Yeah.
And by the time they learned how to drive, they learned how to get to the hardware store, measure a window, glaze it, and replace it. And
Put screens in, I suppose, it
Yeah.
had to be done.
They know how to do all that.
That's great. How old are they?
The youngest is 19, he's a freshman at Dayton, and 3 older are out of college and own homes.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. They all come over for Christmas.
They all were home
Isn't that- isn't it-
yesterday, except
isn't
for
it
the one in the
lovely?
Navy.
I think it's so wonderful. That is the greatest thing about having a family. And I feel bad for, you know, they talk about in the black family homes, there's no fathers, the fathers leave. I think it's a terrible thing. It's the greatest detriment to the country is not to have families together.
Well, they should be staying together, and the thing that we've done, I've got 8 brothers and sisters, and not all of them have kids. My wife has 7 brothers and sisters, not all of them have kids, so we adopt. We have dinner every night, but here's an aunt, here's an uncle, here's somebody coming by. Just like when I was growing up, we had 9 people at the dinner table. Some nights we had 13. My mom was just, as long as there's peanut butter and jelly, there's food for everybody.
I think that's wonderful. And you have 4 boys that, excuse me, 4 boys that are Eagle Scouts. I have 2 of my boys, and I did some of that sleeping out in the woods with them.
I went camping 2 weeks ago.
Did you?
It was 25 degrees and snowing, but you know, with the right equipment, you'll be all right. I'll take you. With the right equipment, you'll be all right.
Thanks, Judge. I'll pass on it if you don't mind.
Okay.
You have a son in the Navy.
Oh, yeah, you have a boy in the Navy too?
I have a boy in the Navy. We can't talk about him now.
No, okay, sorry, no, he was not good. Wait,
Yeah,
no,
okay.
okay, good. Right, no, good.
Yeah, I have a fellow that was in the Navy too, and he was talking to me the other day about all the time he spent in the Ukraine in the Black Sea on the submarines.
Sure.
He's telling me all about it.
Yeah.
He did tell me though that of the 87 countries that he has been in throughout the world, he said, you know what the worst country was, the most dangerous and the worst country in the world? What would you say?
I don't know, Jerry.
And it's not Ireland or England.
No, like a South American company?
No, it's Yemen.
Central- Yemen. oh,
Okay.
mhm,
Yemen, he
interesting.
said, was just unbelievable.
Yeah, my son's been near there, but we talk more about our son, the dentist, than the other guys because
Okay,
Oh,
oh, a
you have a
dentist.
son?
he's
Your
out
son-
in North
Oh, wow.
Olmsted with Bill Sikora.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh, okay, great.
Mhm, very good.
But none of them went on to be lawyers, huh?
None of them wanted to. I'm not sure they knew what I did. I'll tell you if you have time for a quick story. I'm
Sure.
driving, we played hockey, so I'm driving home from Detroit with a little Spellacy kid, a
Yeah.
little Neff kid, a little Corrigan kid, and my kid.
Mhm.
All the dads are lawyers. And little Neff says to Sullivan, he says, do you want to be a lawyer when you grow up? And my son said, yes, I do. And he said, do you want to be like your dad? And he said, no, I want to be like Mr. Spellacy. Kevin's on Kevin's in the newspaper,
Right.
Kevin's on television,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
as they planned for it, but they're doing great. They don't, you know, they're doing great.
Is there a lot of stress in your job?
Is too much stress. Not as much now on the court, but the Ohio Supreme Court teaches us about that, and they say 10% of the general population is going to be badly affected by stress, whether it's suicide, drugs, alcohol. General population is 10%. Surgeons are 13%. Lawyers are 35%. And so it's a thing that if you have a young person, you've got to teach them how to healthily deal with stress at a young age so that they don't fall into those categories. Those were the numbers when I started 30-some years ago. Went to a seminar 2 years ago, the numbers are the same. It's
Mhm.
terrible, but if you deal with it in a healthy way, and you have a good family like I do and a good wife, then it sure helps.
What do you think is going on with the redistricting in the state of Ohio? I was listening to Bob Franz the other day, and he was really unloading on Maureen O'Connor, Chief Justice. He was lambasting her.
Well, she was at the Irish Goodfellows lunch this week, and I gave her the solution, and I don't know that they're going to use it, but I said, Justice, and I've known her for some time, I said, Justice, I think all you do is you switch all the districts from numbers to letters. It's going to confuse everybody for 3 years. You'll be retired before they even figure it out.
Explain, if you can, how the redistricting works? How do they do it? Is the court supposed to do it, or is the legislature supposed to do it?
Well, it's the legislature's job to get it started and come up with a good plan.
And then why did the court get involved in it?
I think they brought it to the court. The court can't reach out and take things on. Parties have to bring things to the court, and so one of the parties brought it to the court.
And I think the big question with Maureen, she's a Republican.
She is.
And Bob Franz is a strong Republican, he's a conservative, and he thinks she has completely abandoned the Republican principles.
Well, I can't say that one way or the
Oh, no,
other.
and I wouldn't expect you to.
But what I can say, and this is what my chief judge, Judge Sean Gallagher, said this week and last week, that she has brought so much goodness to the court system, because when she started, judges were mistreated. She works for judicial independence, and she gave all the judges raises, which were long overdue. It was, it's an elected position, and you weren't getting a lot of people that were highly qualified running for these unpaid or underpaid positions. So she's done a lot of work to help the judiciary for 20 years. I can't say on politics where she stands or what she'll do on redistricting. I think if she took my advice and just, switched from numbers to letters, maybe that'd help confuse everybody long enough where she could get out of
Yeah, it does seem to be a bit of a problem in not just our state, but also in Pennsylvania, I believe. And I
Okay.
think Minnesota also, Wisconsin, I think they all have problems with it. Okay, we'll move on here. Let's go back here to some really great traditional music. This is a group of traditional musicians that got together in Washington a few years ago, and this was part of a television program.
Wait.
Mr. Rock.
Change my email, take this with you. Change it.
On where? On the
I didn't
Mayo
want to,
Society?
shouldn't have
No,
wanted you
my
to
personal
publish
email.
that.
I know,
Didn't
where?
need to
From
do it,
me
but you
or
had it
from
before.
where?
You know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You have my email in your
He was-
database?
Okay, yes.
he
Change
was
that.
Okay,
all
okay,
on
got it,
her
got it.
every
Okay, got it.
Actually-
night.
Should I tell the Mayo Society too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell,
Good idea.
yeah.
I'm trying to get her impeached.
Oh, come
She should.
on.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Just unbelievable.
The Speaker of the House isn't going for it. He's the one
Unbelievable.
that has to push it. But they've got like 20 Congress people, not 20 state senators that are trying
Really?
to, they're writing up articles of impeachment right
If
now.
they just do
I missed
their
it for who?
districts.
For Maureen
Maureen
O'Connor.
O'Connor, that's unbelievable.
They're writing up articles of impeachment right now.
Okay, again, this is just where, can't people have their own opinions ever? Again, and I'm talking even, and
Oh, that's right. Sorry about that. Oh, you have the O always in it, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Cornelius
Yes,
O'Sullivan. That's right. you do.
O'Sullivan.
O'Sullivan, yes. Very important. But anyway, as I was getting my hair cut the other day, I had a long conversation with Vince, the owner, about the time that his family was so reminiscent of what's going on in the Ukraine right now. He came from Lithuania, and in the middle of the night, he and his family of 6 people had to leave their house and head off to Germany because the Russians were moving into Lithuania. He was 8 years old, and they lost everything, their farm, their cattle, their sheep, their animals, everything was gone. And they ended up, they had to go to Germany, and then they were able to get a boat ticket to New York and on to Minnesota eventually, and then back to Cleveland over a period of certain years. But he was telling me the horrors of that. It's just hard to believe when you lose your home like that. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
It's difficult. These are 20th century problems that we thought we solved.
Yes, that
And
was
we have-
1946,
Yeah.
I think he told me.
And it happened in 1956 in Hungary.
In Hungary?
And it's happened all over Europe. And, when I saw that convoy heading towards Kiev, we have the people in St. Louis, Missouri, in right outside of St. Louis, that can push buttons and make those tanks disappear.
Yes.
But we're not allowed to get involved, and I understand the politics of it, but this is something that they need our help. They need our money. I've seen them at the fundraisers at the Fish Fries in Parma, and they're raising money there. If you get a chance to go to St. Vladimir's and St. Joseph's, they're raising money for the humanitarian help, which is greatly needed.
Do you know, I remember when the Hungarian Revolution occurred in 1956, and to this day, if you go around Shannon Airport, there are lots of Hungarians named. They set up a refugee camp there in '56, and a lot of those Hungarians stayed there, and you'll hear all these Hungarian people, names, speaking with Irish accents.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Okay. All right, we're going to go back to the music. Here's a great song by Luke Kelly. It was written many years. The O.J. Simpson case. Do you remember that?
I remember it well.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
What?
I was going to get to play a
It kind
song.
of galvanized the country, didn't it, on the legal system? What did you think of that?
It got a lot of people that never watched it to understand at least a little bit about it. I think that if you watched all the commenting that went on, they may have been misinterpreting some things, but I think at the end of the day, people understand that in a criminal court, there's a standard review, and he was found to be not guilty. But then in the civil court, he was found to be responsible.
Yeah.
There's just two different standards of review. And if you don't understand much more, like we're bringing in a quarterback to the Cleveland Browns now, been found to be not criminally responsible or something, but there's 22 women who are suing him. I don't know that I'd want to have a quarterback.
I haven't been able to follow that story. Is Baker Mayfield, is his position, well,
It's being
in doubt?
filled. It's being filled.
Huh?
But it's being filled by another quarterback who's being sued by 22 different women. And so we're going to get to see the justice system work out again.
My God, wasn't he an energetic fellow? 22 women?
Jerry, it's not funny.
I know it's not
I know,
funny.
yeah,
I know
good
it's not
stuff,
funny.
yeah.
I know it's not
So,
funny,
no, it's not.
But at the same time,
It's
my
not.
goodness, 22 women?
But I think the more that the general public understands what the court system does, they know how to avoid it if they can, but they know what, what to do and what people are doing on their behalf.
I think it's, for the average person, it's hard to get their head around the civil and the criminal thing, how you can be guilty criminally and not guilty, or vice versa, or
Right.
guilty on the civil. So it can still cost a person a lot of money.
Oh, it's incredibly expensive, litigation is, absolutely. But you have on the criminal side, you just need one juror to say they're not guilty, 1 out of 12.
Right.
In a civil case, you just need a majority, and they can say you're responsible, you're not responsible. And there's different evidentiary standards too in a criminal case, because we have a Bill of Rights, we have such high standards for the criminal courts, because we never wanted to have a king deciding who goes to jail and who doesn't. That goes back to the founding of our country, it goes back to 1066 and the Battle of Hastings.
Battle of Hastings.
So, I mean, I think it's a great system, and I think the more people learn about it, the better off our whole country is. But you have to learn about it on your own a little bit. You can't just watch television and listen to what folks are saying.
How real are those court cases we see on TV, like Judge Judy, for
They're
instance?
hysterical. They're hysterical.
I mean,
I don't watch much, but.
Is it any way close to reality at all? What
We've
about
got-
Judge Judy, for instance?
We've got some cases like that, though. People fighting over a car, people fighting over a parking space. Fortunately, they don't get up to the Court of Appeals very often.
Yeah, but most lawyers don't make the kind of money that Judge Judy does. She makes $20 million a year.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
There we go. Okay, 3 minutes past 11 here on the Irish Show. Don't forget, today at Regina High School Auditorium, if I can reach over,
Which is a part of Notre Dame College.
at Notre Dame College, it's
That's
called
right.
the Regina High School Auditorium. Murphy's Irish Dancers are having their annual fundraiser. This helps them to make their tour to Ireland, which is
Oh,
coming
it's
up.
next week. No, it's the 20th. No, it is the 20th. Yeah, that looks like an 8. Sorry, I'm so
that's
sorry.
the
It is. Yeah.
Watching TV, because when I get up in the morning, I get up at 5:30 in the morning, and I usually turn the TV on. And I like to watch Maria Bartiromo when she comes on at 6. She's one of the best financial advisors, I think, in the world. But anyway, I said to Nellie, I says, I'm done with TV. But this TV, I just can't watch it. So I said to her, I'm going to watch the Farmer's Channel. So I have. I've been watching RFD, and I watch all about the animals, and I was doing great on it. And then suddenly, there's a wheat problem in the world. And who's covering the wheat problem? The Farmer's Channel. So I'm back in it again. I can't get away from it. So anyway, Eddie said he was buying wheat futures, didn't he?
He did.
I told him call Hillary Clinton right away.
He did.
She's a good commodity advisor. But anyway, let's get back to talking about the justice system. What do you think? The justice system has taken some heavy raps the last few years, Judge. And I don't want you to get into the political aspects. I know you don't want to, being a judge. But has the justice system suffered from all of this thing, there was all of this stuff, with the millions of hours of legal fees that was cranked up to go after Trump? And now, of course, we don't know what's going to happen with Biden after the New York Times the other day came out with this thing about the legitimacy of the laptop, that notorious laptop. What has happened to the justice system?
Well, when you talk about the justice system, you have to remember we want it to be free and independent.
Right.
And that's the hallmark. We don't want political bosses deciding who our judges are. We want the people deciding who our judges are. And that's the way just it works best. So a good judge is going to come in, and they're just going to apply the law. You know, we're out here in Independence, Ohio, and the city of Independence makes their own rules. Before this, you had the fishing channel on, and the ODNR, they make their own rules. And then Cuyahoga County makes their own rules, and then the state of Ohio, and then the United States. You don't want a judge to come in and say, well, I don't like Independence, so I'm going to make my own rules. I don't like the ODNR, so I'm going to make their own rules. I want to make up the rules. But there's people out there that think that's what judges are supposed to do. They're supposed to lead with their heart or how they feel. And I've told people, and this is a little crass, but I'm not supposed to have any feelings.
Mm-hmm.
I read the law, I read the arguments, and I apply the law. And that's the oath I took, and that's what I'm going to do. And I think most judges want to do that. The ones that don't certainly make a lot of headlines. I don't want to make headlines either, though. So I just want to make good decisions and follow the law. And if the law is something I disagree with, if I don't like the way the City of Independence or the ODNR handles fishing rights in the Cuyahoga, then as a private citizen, maybe I can go out and try and get a new majority. But as a judge, I've got to apply the law that they wrote.
But different judges sees different things different ways, don't they?
They do.
The interpretation, that's what that is.
Well,
right?
they do, and we see that every time there's a Supreme Court, that's on front and center. And this is going to be your new TV watching probably, because there's going to be a Supreme Court nomination starting on Monday. But the public gets to see what that judge feels and what that judge thinks. And so you get to know that. So when people ask me what justice I am most like or I want to be most like, and I'm not going to really share that with you, but I'm a judge that follows the law. But you've seen on these Supreme Court nominations over the years, over the past 40 years, you've seen judges that'll say, well, I feel this, I want to change this, and I want to change that. We're not supposed to change anything. We're supposed to apply. And so that's kind of a thing you can watch in the next couple of weeks. Does this Supreme Court Justice nominee want to change things, or does she want to apply the law as it's been written?
It does appear like she wants to change things, what I've seen.
I haven't followed too much on her. There's not a lot of controversy. When there's a Democratic nominee, there's rarely controversy because
Republicans are more reasonable.
Well, when different parties nominate, different people get better press.
I just said that to see Connie, what she was going to say. She's just shaking her head. She always.
Yes. Just fair. We're Irish radio, and we're
Okay.
meeting a nice Irish judge right here. Yes, good. Right.
So, what I get from this conversation is what I suspect is the interpretation of the law. Judges do interpret the law the way they see it.
They do.
And the next judge may be in complete disagreement. So,
Well, and as you pointed out at the beginning of the show, some of the lower court judges just make mistakes.
Mhm.
They're under a lot of pressure. They're under a time frame. They're trying to get things done. Sometimes they do that and we correct the mistakes. Sometimes they just interpret the law incorrectly, and we'll try and fix that as well.
Judge, you're going to be the fixer of the law.
I'm not sure that's a good
That's
title
not a
for a
nice-
judge.
That's not a good name. No, it
That's
isn't.
not a
No,
good name for a judge.
That is
but,
not. That is not a good word to use to a judge. All right, here's Kyle Dunn, an old friend, Sullivan, and we've been talking about all the different things he does. But one of the things he does that I think is quite unusual, he does a lot of work with the homeless people, Judge. I mean, that is a really a noble calling, especially when you hear about the homeless capital of the world, of course, is San Francisco. I have a cousin who lives there, and he told me he's lived there for 20 years. He has not been downtown San Francisco in 5 years. He's afraid to go to it. That is terrible.
It's cruel that the various institutions let these people fall through the cracks. I know in Cleveland, between Catholic Charities.
I don't know if it's the institution. I think it's the politicians are to blame for this.
Well, political institutions.
They really are.
Yeah, but the government's not the solution for everything, though.
No.
We have an army of 20 to 30-year-olds right now who are playing video games, who we'd love to have out there helping feed the homeless.
Mhm.
I think it was that Dorothy Day who talked about it's our duty. It's not the government's duty. It's our duty that's been given to us. So that's what we do in Lakewood. In Lakewood, you can get a hot meal 20 nights a month at various churches. And there's a map on the Lakewood website that shows you where to go. There used to be 25, but some of the churches, between their elderly populations and COVID, they couldn't handle it. Ours went right through COVID and kept on working. But so we serve at St. James and at St. Luke's 2 nights a month, hot meals, and we've got benefactors that help us pay for that. And then we have another restaurant around the corner that donates another 100 meals. And so we give you a hot meal. I go out and pick up some fresh fruit and vegetables, and then we give them a spaghetti dinner to go for tomorrow. So in Lakewood anyway, we've got it. It's not the best, but we've got it figured out where you can't go hungry.
I hope I never am real hungry, because I don't like spaghetti dinners.
Well,
You just like some mashed potatoes.
I like
Spuds.
mashed spuds.
well,
And,
you would have liked this week. We had the corned beef and cabbage.
Nice.
Yeah, I like good
We
corned
had
beef.
Cake and cookies. We had a
Nice.
salad.
Nice.
Our cooks do a phenomenal job.
So you do a lot of work with them.
I do that. I run the 2 organizations. So we cook and serve 200 meals a month at 2 locations on 2 different nights. We coordinate with St. Ed's, who does it a 3rd night. We coordinate with the local health ministries. We bring in people to do health assessments. We bring in, we coordinate with donors that want to donate socks. Every December, we hand out 2 pairs of wool socks to everybody. We hand out hats and gloves. So we're doing what we can with our churches, and the other churches in Lakewood are trying to do that as well.
You know, as I listen to you here, listen to the whole program, you are a good man. You really are.
I try.
You really are. You're a good Christian person.
Well, this whole thing started when my son was asked to go volunteer in 5th grade at the community meal. And I said, well, I'll drive him up there. And I stayed and I washed dishes. And I washed dishes for a couple of years. And then the guy who was running it was getting tired and said, would you take this over? I did. I didn't think anything of it. But my wife and I, this is what we do. We're both from Lakewood. We want to serve the community. There is a problem there with people that are hungry. There's an elderly population. Some of the folks are there. There's a gentleman. He looks just like you, actually. He worked at White Motors. He worked at White Motors. He put his kids through Catholic schools, and then they closed and he lost his pension. He's living on Social Security in an apartment in Lakewood, and he comes to these meals because that's the best food that he could get. And we've got great cooks that make sure it's healthy.
That's great.
Have your boys inherited this great Christian charity their parents has?
To an extent. I wish they'd do more, but they're still working on their young.
Sure.
My oldest one, again, is in the service, and he's got, the service gene going on. My second son, the dentist, has been to El Salvador and has worked with this group Operation Smile, where they help the younger kids. He's got a great wife that's in the dentistry, pediatric dentist also. She works at a charity hospital. And then, my third son is just working his brains out for a mortgage company, but he's come and helped me out. And in fact, during COVID, they were the ones that carried everything for me. And I've got photographs of us standing outside, because we couldn't go in the church basement for 4 months. Standing outside in the snow, handing out meals. That was what my sons were doing. They've seen it, their mom's done it, and they're carrying on. But we do need more. We've lost a generation of people to COVID, either through the sickness themselves or through the fear, where if they're over 60, they're just not coming back, I don't think. So we need people 20 to 30 to come out and feed the hungry, give drink to the thirsty, clothe the naked. There's a list out there. You can check a lot of different places, the Corporal Works of Mercy. That's what we need to do.
It's a funny thing, we're on this subject, and the song that's coming up next was written by a fellow named Ralph McTell, and this is exactly what it's about. Poverty in London. It's called The Streets of London. Here's the new barleycorn singing. Listen to the words to this. So that's good. He and his wife are wonderful. What have you got to say to me now?
No, I just wanted to say it was nice having the judge on the show, and it's always great to hear about what's going on in Cuyahoga County. But also
As
lots
if you
of
didn't
birthdays.
know. You know everything that's going on under every rock.
Right. So, and anyway, just a great week this week for some birthdays and some wonderful people in my family. My mother's birthday this week. Happy birthday to my mom, Celia Corrigan. Happy birthday to Kathleen McComb and my Aunt Kathy. And also happy birthday to my brother Dennis. So Dennis Corrigan, happy birthday this week for the first day of spring.
Miss Cassidy's coming up. Here it
Hey,
is.
give me a smile.
Tieta.
We need a place. And that was what Tony Sinagra did, donating his store. But then when he sold the building, they kind of lost their space. But it's something they could do at the IA, they could do it at a lot of the bars.
Sure, yeah,
And any
sure.
bar would be glad to have you. But you need to have, it's a private music lesson though. So you need the private rooms and some good acoustics. So, I mean, you can do the shows in a bar.
Yeah.
But when a kid is just learning how to play the
Yeah,
fiddle,
you have to.
they need to, so they need a space for that. And, boy, the world is full of empty office space right now. So maybe there's
Sure
a donor
is.
out there. Right on, I used to work on Rockside Road in one of these empty buildings.
Is that right? I bet there's a lot of empty buildings right here.
There are.
Empty offices in these buildings,
There
probably
are.
in this one right here.
There are, yeah. Yeah, that'd be great, because that's what, Rita's kids are now grown, and they're out playing all the time. And they're teaching informally in bars, but to get it right, I think you need that quiet one-on-one setting.
Yeah. This guy is from, I know this fellow, he's from Balling College in County Cork. It's, it'd be West Cork. Your family's registered, Kenmare and Kerry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Kerry, that's right.
I have a picture of the tombstone of Cornelius O'Sullivan, my great-grandfather, who came over. And it says, I think they spelled the name wrong, but Carhuman Care is a little nothing of it. You look on the map and there's nothing
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
But it's just on the road, like a 5-minute walk west on the Ring of Kerry.
Like that. All right, you're talking. And that's Patrick O'Sullivan, and we have Cornelius O'Sullivan, Judge Cornelius O'Sullivan in the studio with us this morning. And we're talking about his heritage. It's from County Kerry, Kenmare, right?
Yes, sir.
I know Joan Reale is happy to hear that because she has a house over there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to talk to them.
That's right. In fact, Joan's daughter is a judge.
She's a judge
And
and
Colleen.
she's in my building.
Colleen, yeah. Well, listen, thanks for coming in. It's great having you. And I'm glad that people got to know some of the great things you're doing in the Cleveland area. It's not often we get people to do the kind of things that you do.
Well, thank you for having me. I
Do so,
appreciate it.
do so many
Great,
things.
great show here.
Oh, we have a lot of fun.
You do.
Yeah.
We all did.
You have to come back in after you're elected if you
I will be
have a
back.
Come
moment.
back and visit us, Judge.
I'll be
Love
glad
have
to.
you. All right. Here's the Bati Band